I'm Skripture. I'm an artist, musician and producer. My mission is to raise awareness to a lot of misconceptions of people like me. I've called myself something that I think gives you sort of a level of responsibility. So it's like you have to teach people or to enlighten people, to empower people, and definitely love, which is the basis of what I believe. I think those are the things that I definitely have to keep the common thread throughout my music. Growing up, my parents, my dad specifically, inspired me to do music. He had instruments lying around the house. And I tell this story all the time. He had an acoustic guitar which has 7 strings, but obviously, I don't know whether it's because we were in poverty or whether it's because it just wasn't fixed, but there was 3 strings missing, so there was 4 strings left on there. I started picking up and messing around with it. And then obviously not knowing that because there's only 4 strings on it, there's 4 strings on the bass guitar. The way I'm playing, I'm not really playing it like a guitar because it doesn't have the last 3 strings. I'm playing it like a bass. He's watching me, he's like, if you get good at that, I'll let you play my bass. So I started to get good at it and he eventually gave me his bass. I think from like 7, I knew that I wanted to do music. I think it gave me a clear direction from young. Not everyone grows up knowing what they want to do at a very early age. I think a lot of people develop it when they grow up and they see loads of different avenues and careers and whatever it is, and then they kind of figure out what they want to do. But I knew, I don't know why, I just knew early on. So then I didn't really have to dabble in a lot of the things my friends did because I was making £150 on the weekend at like 16 or 17. I experienced the same things they experienced, but I didn't necessarily have to fully go, and that wasn't my source of income. So it's probably only recently that I've started to become confident in myself. I think one of the things again that made me continue to do music was because some of the people that I was dealing with, some of my friends who were on the roads, they never made me feel like what I was doing was not cool. That just made me think, oh, like, I'm gonna definitely do this. There are a lot of stereotypes attached to people who look like me, and I feel like I definitely don't fit that mold, but aesthetically I might do. I work for a lot of charities, I work for schools, prisons, and sometimes corporate functions. I feel that's the way I can give back, is like give my knowledge to whatever I've learned in the industry, and also just being an example, because a lot of them are misguided in terms of trying to induce change. I think we need to look at what can be productive rather than repeating the same mistakes that we've made in the past. So yeah, of course, protesting and expressing yourself is always it's always necessary, but I feel like empowerment, is something that hasn't really been exploited or pushed to the forefront. So if we empower ourselves and we make ourselves the motherland, the power again that they become interested in, we have a different outlook now. We can have bargaining power. We have, resources that we can then say, hey, we're keeping this for ourselves, and having a central bank or things like that. I just think that's more productive in change. The project I'm releasing is called One Accord, inspired by the George Floyd's events, based on empowerment. I think I had to put my feelings aside, to be honest with you, which is difficult to do, because it's funny, obviously my name's Skripture, but then I'm trying to be the least preachy person. But then there's topics that you can't avoid because there's not a lot of people speaking on them. And I did hear a couple of people speaking on them, but I don't feel like anyone was speaking from my perspective. I feel like raw emotion is the best way to touch people.